So you're going through a really painful breakup, and you can just imagine the impact it'll have if you go buy those flowers, buy that box of chocolate, go buy the ring, maybe jump on a plane, go see them, get down on bended knee, and finally give them the romantic happily ever after that they always wanted. And here's why it'll push them further away than ever. So if before you do that, if you have that in your mind, watch this video, give me a chance to explain to you if it's going to work and why it might not. So when you're going through a really painful breakup, one of the things that will happen is your mind and your heart is going to get fixated on remembering, replaying. It's a nostalgic stage. I call it the dark limerence. That's when your mind won't let you change the channel. So you're basically consumed with the idea of thinking about how things were, how things should be. You're remembering when the two of you were together and it just felt undeniably the way it should be. Even if you've never believed in a soulmate before, maybe now going through this breakup, you realize that was your soulmate. To you, your mind is fixated on them. There's a part of your brain known as the anterior cingulate cortex. One of the things it helps you do is kind of help change the channel in your mind. If you go through a heartbreak, a crisis, an emotional trauma of losing somebody, especially if you didn't expect to lose them, that part of your brain is fixated on that relationship, fixated on them. You're in overwhelming pain. And because you're so fixated on them, to you, that relationship, that love, that destiny is right there. It feels like it's so close you could just touch it. You're remembering a version of them that for so long before this breakup would be so thrilled, so happy, so excited to have you down on bended knee, to have you promising the future, to have you promising to maybe have that kid, to move into that house, to give them that ring, to set that wedding date, whatever it is. You remember the version of them before the breakup that would have been so happy. And since it seems so close and you still believe that's the same person, and you know now you're a better person, the idea of giving them what they want seems like an obvious way to pull them back. And we've seen it in all the love stories. We see it in all the movies. That grand gesture at the end of the movie, like in Pretty Woman, he comes down the road sticking out of a limousine with flowers in his hand. An officer and a gentleman, it's the same thing. If you haven't seen those movies, go watch a romantic movie. It's usually the grand gesture. It's always this shameless, transparent, I love you with all my heart. I don't want to live without you. I know you need to hear this. I should have told you sooner. And it works. So it's almost like a form of programming. And we look at it this way, even if it doesn't work, I'm risking humiliation. I'm risking rejection. And that's part of this beautiful moment. I mean, me stepping into that kind of vulnerability will just be one more aspect that proves to him or her just how much they mean to me. I'm going to do it. And nobody's going to talk me out of it. But the number one reason why you shouldn't do that version of them that would have been so grateful, that would have been so excited, that would have jumped into your arms and said, finally, I can't believe we're going to do this. That's not them anymore. This is the version of them that's been imagining breaking up with you. And when they broke up with you, they entered into what they call the relief stage. And depending on how that breakup went, they might be in an enthusiastic relief stage. In other words, this isn't the same person. They don't see you the same way. You still see them as not only amazing, you see them as more amazing than you've ever seen them before. They don't still see you as the same person that they'd be so grateful, so incredibly excited about being with. It's like that gap has grown. And when you make this grand gesture, all you're doing is reinforcing it. You're making a pitch of forever to somebody who's rejected you for right now. That doesn't even really make sense. What you have to understand is what they would have been so excited about when the two of you were together is not as alluring now. It's like if they said, it'd be like, hey, and I know you've been wanting pizza, so how about if I not only give you pizza, I'll give you pizza every night for the rest of your life, huh? Well, they just turned you down for the moment. What makes you think they want forever with you? So you're remembering and seeing them as the person they've been through the majority of the relationship. That's the person that you're going to pitch this grand gesture to. But that's not who they are anymore. So you're kind of making a grand gesture to a different version. And this version of them is not going to be moved, is not going to be excited. It's not going to remember and trigger all the memories in them to suddenly see you as the way they saw you before. It's actually going to work against you. Number two, it cancels out the fear of loss. It makes it impossible for them to start to wonder, did I make a mistake? Is letting go of this person, is this going to be the choice that I make that's going to haunt me forever? What if I break up with this person and they become better, they become stronger, they become more successful, they get better looking, they become more famous? Whatever it is, it's a human nature, it's a deep primal fear that we're going to regret walking away from this person because they're going to go on to become something amazing. Well, when you give a grand gesture, what you're really telling them is, you don't have to worry about fear of regret with me. I'm here forever. You don't have to worry about regretting this decision because I love you so much and I so much don't want you to make this decision that I'm going to make this grand gesture to prove to you that you can take your time. Find out what else is out there. You thinking about dating somebody else? Hey, I just gave you a grand gesture to show that if you come back to me, even in a few months, I might have even told you in the middle of me getting down on one knee, I can never be happy without you. If you ever change your mind, just know that I'll be here. Maybe I gave you an eternal vow along with this grand gesture. Okay, great. So you just told the person, don't worry about losing me. Go do whatever you want to do. Go date whoever you want to date. Go try life without me. And when you get bored and exhausted from the rest of the world, I will always be your safe last option. That's what a grand gesture does. It's not alluring. It doesn't trigger that thought process that makes them think, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I'm going to regret that. Well, if I do regret it, they just told me they're going to be here forever. So you know what? I'm feeling even better. I mean, when they did the grand gesture, it made me feel awkward. It made me feel embarrassed for them. It was a little bit awkward in the moment, but deep down, I feel even stronger about who I am. This new version of me, I mean, the person down on one knee asking me to marry them, asking me to spend the rest of my life with them, I would have died for them to do that before, but this new version of me not only broke up with them, this new version of me is so attractive that they're begging me to come back. I like this new version of me. And that's the third reason. Stepping back to you while you're begging, pleading, and desperate, thinking it's romantic because you've wrapped it up as some grand gesture, actually makes them see themselves as above you. We want to be with somebody that we feel lucky to be with. How are you going to feel lucky to be with somebody that you've already rejected, that you've already said in some form or fashion, I think I would be happier in my life if we weren't together? You heard those words, however they said the breakup, that's what they were really telling you, and you said, no, please. My life would be empty without you. My life isn't as good without you. I'm begging, I'm pleading. Now, to you, you're trying to desperately reconnect that feeling, that intimacy, that certainty that the two of you belong together. Because not too long ago, both of you probably felt that way. So you're trying to rekindle that. But you're actually repackaging your love in desperation. And desperation is not attractive. Nobody goes back or falls back in love with somebody because they just seem too weak to live without me. They couldn't breathe without me. And that just touched the part of my soul that made me realize I can't live without them either. It doesn't work that way. It actually props them up and reinforces this idea that they're out of your league. Them breaking up with you already reinforces that. You chasing, you not wanting the breakup does that. A grand gesture just magnifies it times 10. And here's the kicker. It actually causes them to trust you less. We also think, look, if I promise to commit to them forever, if I promise to now I'll have a kid, I'll buy the house, I'll buy the ring, again, I'll get down and I'll give them that moment that they've so long wanted to get from me. I'm finally going to give it to them. And that'll be the ultimate evidence to them that I've finally changed. I'm finally the person they've always wanted me to be. That'll remind them of how we belong together. And then they'll come back. What it's actually doing is telling them, wait a minute. So when I was chasing you, the whole time we were together, I wanted you to propose. I wanted you to commit to me forever. I wanted you to give me that child, or I wanted you to buy me that house. And the whole time we were together, when I so desperately wanted it, that wasn't enough for you. But now that I hurt you, now that I'm the one walking away, now that I'm the one that's kind of discovered my own worth, my own identity, my own sense of strength, now because you're losing me, now you're willing to give it to me? So when I wanted it, it didn't mean anything. But now that you're hurt and now that you're desperate, now you're willing to give me anything I want? Okay, so my heart doesn't matter, your heart matters. My pain doesn't matter, your pain matters. If I step back into this relationship that, by the way, you're making extremely unattractive by becoming so desperate, so needy, so clingy, that now you're willing to offer me the sun, moon, and the stars above, what'll happen if I actually trust you and step back into the relationship? What happens when this fear of losing me goes away? I bet I know what's going to happen. When the fear of losing me goes away, you're going to turn into the same person that you've been that made me break up with you in the first place. So this grand gesture that you think is going to prove to them that they can trust you again actually causes them to trust you less because they see it as motivated by your pain, not a sincere change in who you are. Now, if you went into no contact and you proved you were a different person by your actual actions, by proving that whether they come back or not, you're going to be this new person, That might actually make a difference. But right now, they're just promises rooted in your pain that make you seem desperate. And that's not attractive. That's not going to make them have a fear of regret. That's not going to make them have a fear of loss. That's actually going to reinforce this new, stronger, better version of them and actually cement their view of you as lower value. So when does a grand gesture work? When is it a good idea to declare your love, promise them forever, sweep them off their feet, she jumps in your arms, and the two of you swirl around like two love-crazy morons? Well, when that works, it's when they see you as somebody incredibly lucky to be with. If they just rejected you, they don't feel lucky to be with you. That might not seem real to you because maybe all the way up to the point where they broke up with you, you felt that way. They made you feel like you were the most important person. They made you feel, maybe they even told you consistently, I'm so lucky to be with you. I can't believe I found somebody like you. I want to live with you for the rest of my life. There'll never be anybody else. So they made you feel for so long like they were so grateful and so incredibly lucky to have found you that you're still convinced that's how they see you. A grand gesture, when they view you as a prize, works. They can't believe how lucky they are to have you, and now you're committing to them even more. Now you're handing them the ring. Now you're promising them forever. Of course, if they see themselves as lucky to be with you, then they're going to feel incredibly lucky to be with you forever. But if they don't see themselves as lucky to be with you now, what makes you think it's attractive to imagine being with you forever? That's just a fairy tale that your mind is telling you right now to try to calm you down. When you're in pain, when you're in trauma, your mind comes alive. Like a lot of people come up with their best ideas. Some genius patterns have been created in the minds of somebody that were in a panic. When you're in pain, your mind is motivated to come up with a plan. That's why a lot of geniuses come up with some brilliant patterns when they're in some kind of a trauma situation. Right now you're in trauma. Your brain is trying to come up with some very creative ways to solve that problem. So it's going to come up with this grand gesture idea. But that just works in the mind of the person that's in pain. You have to step out of that universe. Remember, they don't see you the way they saw you before. Right now they see you as somebody that they would be happier without, as painful as that is to hear. And if they would be happier without you now, what makes you think they'd feel lucky to have you forever? So hold off on that grand gesture. Give yourself time to rebuild how they see you, to prove who you are. Give them time to actually have a fear of regret. Now, I use the metaphor about the house and the porch quite a bit. So it just means if somebody breaks up with you, it's like your relationship is a house, and when they break up with you, it's like they're asking you to leave. If you're the one that's being broken up with, you go out of the house, but you fight to stay in the relationship, so it's like you camp out on the porch. A grand gesture is not only staying on the porch and making it impossible for them to miss you, because you can't miss somebody that's right there. If somebody never completely goes away, then it's really hard to second guess the decision to break up with them. So do you regret breaking up with Bob? Do you miss Bob? I don't have to miss Bob. Bob's right there on the porch. Look, he's right there. He's waving in the window. He sends me emails and texts all the time telling me he wants to move back in. Living on the porch when somebody breaks up with you is bad. A grand gesture is like you just built a house on the porch. It's like you just told them, I'm not going anywhere forever. And a lot of times the wording comes with the grand gesture. You're the only person I could ever be happy with. I promise I'm going to be here forever. If you ever change your mind, don't say that when somebody breaks up with you. If you ever change your mind, please let me know. I'll always love you. I'll always be here for you. If you ever need anything, it's just like you're building your permanent residence right outside their front door and then wondering why they don't miss you enough to invite you back in. But I know every situation is different. Details matter. So if I can help, please let me know. You can find me at realcoachken.com. Please give me a like, a share, and a subscribe, especially if you know somebody going through a breakup. Most people have a friend that when they're going through a breakup will tell you, I think what I need to do is empty my bank account, go get that diamond ring, fly to her state, go into her work, get down on one knee, and make a total fool out of myself. I think that's going to win them back. Pain will convince you to try some crazy things. Because it doesn't matter if it's crazy. If there's a 1% chance it works, that means that there's a chance that it'll pull you out of this pain. So if you know somebody that's contemplating something like this, maybe give this video a share to them if you think it'll help. And I'll be back again soon. Thanks a lot and happy 4th. Probably already passed the 4th, but you get the idea.